typically, in our scenario, it's against the same providers, so we typically know who we're writing the RFP against. In that case, I think a lot of information is fairly common knowledge, so keep your RFP, and my recommendation is somewhat concise to the things that are different for your business, kind of talking with what was just said. You know, if the RFP is too long, it doesn't necessarily get read, and it's hard to answer all the questions with the full detail you want, and many of them usually are information that's really just easily or freely available. But try to focus in on some of the things that are really critical to your business, maybe why they're critical to your business, and then maybe have one section where you do let the vendor really propose something that they might uniquely do for you and your business that you haven't thought of on the RFP. Last sort of piece of information there, you might actually learn a couple things about how to make your site better, even if you don't select that vendor. You know, you've gotten some information from them in that regard as well.
That's a terrific tip. Just write that into the RFP. What else can you suggest?
Yeah. I think for us, if you said that you would pay upfront, so we're a monthly usually service, but if you were going to pay upfront for the entire year, let's say, that would certainly be a quick way to negotiate with price. Also, extending the terms of the contract is a good way to change that price. But probably less obvious, but more important to a business certainly like mine, would be agreeing to do some PR, agreeing to talk to a forester, which could take some of your time, but would also be important to us.
That's a good tip. And next thing.
I wouldn't add too much to what everybody said, but I think we've done this quite a bit, and so maybe asking the question of how you would handle this specific scenario so that you can get sort of an unfiltered answer of how does this, when this bad thing happens, you know, what's the process that you go through to resolve this, and try to get the most, reasonable and honest answer that you can. I know that when we've done this a few times in the past, we've actually put things into the contract, especially if they were, say, performance related. But we'll just put a performance measure in the contract that says basically if we don't hit this ROI target or increase in sales, then this agreement is over, that kind of thing, where it really just made it very obvious and very clear what the success criteria are, where prior maybe the other vendor had not met that goal. For us, I think it has sort of two sides to the coin. It's a very high-tech space for us, but we have one group of people who, probably don't get out much, right? In other words, it's a very intense mathematical space. And then on the flip side of that, we have our client-facing team, and then what we have to do is try to merge those two teams together so that we can understand which features people can actually deploy, which things are going to generate real improvement, and then we actually do prioritize these things sort of on a quarterly basis, where we'll look and say, well, I don't think anybody could actually deploy this if you actually invented this feature. So we're sort of inventing quite a few features. We'll bump things that we actually don't think people could take advantage of in a timely basis. But since we are software as a service, a lot of times we can prioritize features right to the top because nobody's going to have to make any change whatsoever to implement that feature. And so the nice thing about that is we can sort of pass on value to our customers without them really making any change to their setup at all. And so then, we have an opportunity to kind of maybe test with some early clients, notify them, of course, hey, we're going to run this test on your site. You okay with that, obviously. So we can kind of keep the technology moving and then sort of move it out to mass adoption, hopefully on a quarterly basis. What's often hard to remember, especially when you're buying software, and I both bought and sold software, is that all we do every day is implement this software for 100 clients or more. It's all we do every day. So we know a lot of the pitfalls that are about to happen to you before they happen, even when you say they're not going to happen. And so a lot of times we actually prepared for those realities to occur. But I think, it really would help to really just ask the vendor who really has been through it a few times, what commonly is, the challenge of the hang-up. If you're date-driven, what usually stops people from making the date? I know that every time. If you don't think the recommendations in your case are going to be relevant, how do you deal with that? What are the strategies to do that? We usually know all those things kind of before they happen. So go ahead and ask. And then if you're really, really confident that you need something done, it probably should, like you said, already been covered, up front in the contract process. We should already be aware.